last week we talked about the Kristaps Porzingis trade. But when we talked about it, we were still under the impression that it was Malcolm Brogdon going to the Clippers. And then we end the stream. I'm on my phone at 11:58. We end the stream. We get the notifications that the trade doesn't go through. The Clippers back out because of Malcolm Brogdon's injury history. They're still a little iffy about his shoulder. They said, we don't want to do this trade. Completely understandable. Then we get the notification that the Wizards had until midnight to make this trade happen and keep Kristaps Porzingis' contract guaranteed. At 11:58, I get a notification from Shams that the Grizzlies now become that third team, and Marcus Smart ends up on the Memphis Grizzlies. We already talked about the Kristaps Porzingis trade last week because I thought it happened. So we talked about the Kristaps part of this. I love that Kristaps being added to the Celtics. I love that for them. He brings a lot of versatility to their team. At the time, I thought, get rid of Malcolm Brogdon. He was great for them during the regular season. Didn't play as well in the finals in some moments in the playoffs. Eastern Conference Finals, excuse me. But I wasn't mad at losing Malcolm Brogdon. I think the Celtics are going to miss Marcus Smart big time. Kristaps Porzingis is going to bring a lot to that team, both sides of the ball, offense and defense, don't get me wrong. But Marcus Smart does so much more than just what the box score tells you for the Boston Celtics. And honestly, the box score ain't that bad, even for what he does bring in terms of just actual basketball production. Regular season numbers aren't crazy. He's usually around 10 to 12 points a game, but he consistently over the last 3-4 seasons steps it up big for them in the playoffs, going from 14 to 16 points a game in the playoffs. But it's his leadership, it's his defense, it's the intangibles. It's and ironic as it is, that morning, the Boston Celtics Twitter account tweeted this nice compilation of just highlights for Marcus Smart throughout the season. And it was like, Marcus Smart, the heart and soul of our team. And then 18 hours after they posted that, he was traded and no longer a member of that team. But he legitimately is the heart and soul of the Boston Celtics. So what does that mean for them? It means, yes, they miss a glue guy. They miss the intangible guy. But I think at the very least, it gives the opportunity for us to at least see what type of leaders Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are. Because there's no argument that they've been the two best players on this Boston Celtics team over the last 3-4 seasons. But I don't think they've been considered the leader of this team during any of that time period. And I think now will be the moment, or at least I'll say the on-court visible leader during the games. It's Marcus Smart talking to, the players. It's Marcus Smart huddling people up during, timeouts and when maybe a ball out of bounds, talking to his guys, making sure people keep their heads up. That's Marcus Smart doing that. There's going to be opportunity for Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown to step up and do that for their teams. We'll see if they can. I don't want to say I don't think they can, but from what they have shown me, they haven't proven they can yet. But I do think this is their first legitimate opportunity to do that. So I'm not writing them off and saying they can't. I'm just going to give them a real fair shot and see what they can do. Larry says, Marcus is a glue guy with important intangibles. That is very true. And leadership is earned. That is true. And I think part of that leadership being earned is, in terms of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown's case, Smart had earned that trust. He had earned their leadership. Smart had been there the whole time. So I think he had even earned their trust. They looked to him for leadership. They trusted in his leadership. But now he's no longer there, and they're going to have to, meaning Brown and Tatum, are going to have to step up and earn their teammates' trust to be their new leaders. I think this is the year that Tatum steps up and becomes the leader. Nuno says, we'll see. For me, losing Smart was like losing a family member. I feel that. The other half of this trade, though, is Marcus Smart is now a Memphis Grizzly. Memphis, if you're a Memphis Grizzlies fan, I'm jumping for joy. You have I'll say a tumultuous or what's the word I'm looking for? A season filled with turbulence for multiple reasons. Whether that be Ja getting suspended for various things, whether that be Dylan Brooks calling LeBron James old and washed. Like, there were a lot of off-court distractions for the Memphis Grizzlies this year. There were a lot. I think adding Marcus Smart to this team, one, we just talked about how great of a leader he had been for the Celtics over the last couple of years. I think he can bring that leadership to Memphis in a way that will be accepted. Because like Larry just said, leadership is earned. I think Marcus Smart is going to put in the work. He's going to show that he's a first one in, last one out type of guy to get the rest of that team to buy into some of his leadership. That's a young team with a lot of talent that needs some leadership. And considering that Ja Morant's going to be out for the first 25 games of the season on top of all of this, Marcus Smart's going to be able to fill in some of that production, or at least fill in that gap in the meantime until Ja gets back. And then when Ja does get back, I think he can come off the bench for some games. I don't like the idea of starting Desmond Bane, Ja Morant, and Marcus Smart as a 3-guard lineup, but I can see them closing out some games together. I think he's going to really fit in and fill out that Dillon Brooks role without the off-court nonsense. Better leadership on the court. That honestly, in my opinion, he's a better player. He shoots the ball better. I think he takes still some not the smartest shots, but I think some of that is, at least in terms of the Celtics, I talked about this a couple of weeks ago, especially when the Celtics were still in the playoffs. There were some close games, especially against that Sixers series, where I was like, why is Marcus Smart the guy with the ball at the end of the quarter? But some of that looked like it was by design. So we'll see. I don't necessarily think that was Smart being a ball hog and saying, I need to get the shots at the end of the game. I think those plays were drawn up for him to take those shots, and he was willing to do it. So to add that type of guy who, in my mind, is a much improved version of Dillon Brooks and just filled Dillon Brooks' role, it's a great pickup for the Memphis Grizzlies. And it was a no-brainer trade if I'm the Memphis Grizzlies.